Greetings, programs, and welcome. It is 7:30 in the morning. It's the 31st day of January 2022. We survived the first month of 2022. Woo! It's about 50 degrees and partly cloudy here. It's Super Bowl week. So who are you voting for? Are you ready for the commercials? That's, the real reason we watch the Super Bowl anyways. It's Monday in most places of the world. So it's time to take a look at what's going on in the role-playing game world of stuff. And, doesn't look like there's much going on this week. Most of the stuff we've already touched on, but we will take a look and see if these are anything new or interesting that has changed. And, of course, the number one story is the Legends of Vox Machina Critical Role animated thing on Amazon Prime made its premiere. It's had a couple days to percolate in the collective mindset of the world, and yes, it is definitely being talked about. Last week we mentioned the controversy over the Kickstarter, that people who had Kickstarted it were upset that they still had to pay to watch it on Amazon. What? Oh my God, Critical Role fans being upset, and we're being very angry at Critical Role and stuff like that. So I sent out feelers to see if anybody actually knew whether the Kickstarter actually said anything about them getting to see it or not. Multiple individuals have contacted me, and the answer is, you got me. Since I posted the question, I've received at least 10 answers. Most of those 50% of those answers say no. Nowhere on the Kickstarter does it say that if you give them the money and it gets made, you will get to see it for free. 50% of the answers I got said, oh yeah, it does say. I've had multiple people contact me and say, no, I looked at the Kickstarter. Nowhere on the Kickstarter does it say anything about you get to see it for free on Amazon. And then I've had also people contact me and say, oh yeah, I Kickstarted it and it did say, and I get to see it for free and blah, blah, blah. So we're right back to, I don't know. Well, I don't know how they could get you to see it for free. I suppose they could give you a coupon for 30 days free Amazon Prime. Except, of course, between the time it starts and the time it ends, it'd be longer than 30 days. Or when they said you get to see it for free, they were referring to the fact that, eventually it'll probably be on YouTube, I guess. Or if they do a theater production, like Critical Role has done productions where you go and pay to see it on the big screen in the theater before. You would get a ticket for that for free if they did it. Though that would be a 5-hour movie, I think. Maybe longer, depending upon how many episodes the first season ends up being. Or if they do a DVD, you would get a DVD for free. So we're back at square one because, I've got 50% of answers saying no, nowhere in the Kickstarter does it say you would get to see it for free. And 50% answers that say yes. Yes, it does. I suppose I should just have to go and look myself. So we will do that later on. Because Critical Role is the number one topic, but we're going to moving on to what else is going on in the world today. EN Publishing has announced several new products for the Level Up Advanced 5e edition line, including some introductory adventures, a Dungeon Delver's Guide, a collection of new tools for players in that world, and the Void Runner's Codex, a source book to add space opera science fiction to your Level Up games. So they're trying to jump on that Spelljammer Starfinder bandwagon before Wizards of the Coast can jump on the Spelljammer Starfinder bandwagon. Speaking of outer space, Mophedius has released a free Kickstart set of the Homeworld Revelations role-playing game. This is a starter set quick starter for the upcoming 2D20 Homeworld Revelations. Homeworld is a video game about humans and stuff like that going out into outer space and doing spacey stuff. The quick start PDF is available for free on drive-thru. Steamforged Games announced that they were going to be making a tabletop role-playing game based on RuneScape, the free, supposedly longest running MMO RPG online thingy. We haven't been told what system it's going to be yet, or if it's going to be D20, 2D6, 5e, whatever. Speaking of Steamforged Games and 5e, details are coming out about the upcoming Dark Souls role-playing game from Steamforged. The Dark Fantasy role-playing game will use 5e, but will be adapted to fit the dark lore and tactical combat of the Dark Souls series. So they're going to take it apart, put it back together so that it represents the more gritty, bloody, violent world of the Dark Souls video game line. Which, of course, we talked about not very well this Friday about third-party 5e products, and at what point does it stop being 5e and start being a completely different game? How can you use the 5e license but still, cut and paste and chop and turn it into something that more reflective of the different genre? So if you're interested in knowing how that works, you could check out the live stream I did last Friday. Sadly, it didn't really do it very well, but, I'm still learning. Pre-orders will begin next month, well, tomorrow, and you can expect to see it sometime by the end of this year. IDW has announced a new comic book based on the iconic Dungeons & Dragons characters Minx and Boo as a prequel to the Baldur's Gate 3 video game. Go for the eyes, Boo! Go for the eyes! So, Minx and Boo are famous characters from Baldur's Gate lore. Boo, of course, being the giant space hamster that was shrunk down to the size of a normal hamster. Edge Studio announced the third edition of Midnight, The Legacy of Darkness for 5e on Fantasy V, based upon the Fantasy Flight Games campaign setting. This gritty fantasy setting places the players in oppositions to the forces of shadows who have taken over the land. So if you're not familiar with the Midnight setting, basically the Midnight setting is the bad guys won. Lord of the Rings, Sauron won. The bad guys won. You are, the humans have been crushed, elves have been driven away, dwarves have been driven away, the bad guys have taken over, but now, you're the various individuals who are trying to rise up and reclaim the world or just survive in the world of Midnight. So this is going to be 5e, but obviously in order to reflect that genre, again, it's going to be taken apart, put back together, completely separate rules, but still using the 5e engine, which of course, again, brings us back to the, third-party 5e. At what point does it stop being 5e? Stuff like that. Fat Dragon Games and Humble Bundle released the Dragon Lock and Ravenfall 2D and 3D printable terrain bundle. The bundles include 3D printable terrain from the Dragon Lock series, along with accessories and miniatures, plus 2D terrain, which, is papercraft. That goes to support the Children's Miracle Network. There's a bundle of ebooks from Warhammer and Warhammer 40k Worlds. The bundle features 25 PDFs of games, including settings Warhammer, Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, the House Heresy, and more. This goes to benefit the Every Library Institute. This week on Bundle of Holding, we have a starter collection from Goodman Games for $10. That's the Adventure Almanac, DM Campaign Tracker, PC Pearls, and GM Gems. Or you can upgrade to the bonus fit collection, which includes some more support stuff for Goodman Games. We have the Mork board box still going over on Bundle of Holding. That's $13 for the Box of Shadows, Bridges of Moor, Kalos Monsters and Tower of Scoundrels, and Fiskborg. Not Fishborg, but Fiskborg. Because Fishborg would be Morkborg, but with fish would be awesome. And then there's a bonus collection where you can get some more stuff, including Mantarkar's Gate, Forbidden Palm, Vaults of Torment, and Temple of the Kraken God. From Palladium Fantasy. Yep, they're still out there. We have the starter collection for $18, Palladium Fantasy RPG 2nd edition, 3 Palladium Fantasy supplements, the Western Empire, and Library of Belthrod. And then they also is a bonus collection which contains 8 more source books, a book called The Old Ones 2E, and Adventures on the High Sea 2E. Speaking of Palladium, there's also a Palladium 1E starter set. For $13, you get the Palladium role-playing game, Islands of the Edge of the World, Arms of Nax Tor, Palladium Fantasy Game Master Kit, Palladium Paper Miniatures, and for the bonus collection, you get The Old Ones, Adventures of the High Sea, Adventures of the Northern Wilderness, Yingsok Jungles, and Palladium Fantasy Miniatures. So this is Palladium 1E, and then the other one was Palladium Fantasy 2E. And finally, we have Suspense Radio. These are MP3 audio episodes of crime and strangeness in the 1940s, 1950s style of old-time radio programs. So for this one, radio sampler, you get, for $7, you get 3 episodes of suspense, 3 episodes of crime classics, and 5 episodes of Night Beat. For the bonus collection, you get more episodes of suspense, crime classics, The Weird Circle, Escape, and 5 dangerous assignments. So if you want to listen to some MP3 classic 1940-50 style, not old time radio programs, the Shadow Knows. Check this out. That's everything that's on Bundle of Holding this week, and everything that's Humble a Bumble this week. A lot of stuff coming out for 5e, which of course then again takes us to the whole question of, when is 5e not 5e? Not much else is going on in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Wizards of the Coast has opened up their mouth again to try to continue to explain why they changed things from pre-Mordenkainen to post-Mordenkainen. So here's a whole article explaining why they changed goblins, which is the second or third of these we've seen, even though Mordenkainen's only been out for 2 minutes. So if you want to go over to the Wizards of the Coast D&D website and see them trying to explain why they changed goblins, you can. Of course, why go through all the trouble of saying you're going to remove the lore and that you don't feel you have to explain anything, and then start putting things up that explains the new lore, even if the new lore makes no sense. This goes back to the theory that was raised a couple weeks ago by my fellow YouTuber Unleveled, that Wizards of the Coast is going to put the books out to keep the general populace happy, but then put additional content out on the various websites, either for free or for pay, if what you want, so you can get actually the juicy lore that was missing from the books. So buy the book and then if you actually want all the stuff that's missing, you have to buy more stuff or go dig through the Wizards of the Coast archives to find the real rules and the change stuff. Of course, again, why do you feel you have to explain the changes if, there's no lore anymore? If the whole point of making the changes was so you didn't have to have lore and you didn't have to change it, but now you're changing that and saying, oh, here's why we did it. I know why we did this change is confusing. So here's a really long explanation for how the change of the goblinoids makes sense. And I assume they're going to now do this for all the other monsters that people are complaining about that they changed. Goblins, in case you didn't know, are no longer goblinoids. They're now creatures of Fae. So somehow, at some point in time, D&D goblins used to be pixies. Yeah. And that's about it. Of course, again, we have the whole Legend of Vox Machina thing We are going to try and find the original Kickstarter and take a look at it ourselves. That'll be the follow-up vlog to this vlog. If you appreciate this news and want to hear more, let me know. If you never want to hear me do the news never ever again, let me know. If you have some constructive criticism, please feel free to contact me, because I can't fix it if I don't know what's broken. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 1,000 subs by August 4th, 2022, and we'll do something crazy. Till then, I've been the OG GM, your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, sports, and general internet nonsense. Stay safe, and as always, stay off my land, you damn kids. I'll talk to you later.